She was quite known for her feisty personality.
She's very doting on the children and likes to keep an eye, particularly Charlotte. She's fascinated by what Charlotte gets up to.
The royal family has always carried an air of mystique, elegance, and carefully maintained public image. From the grand palaces and stately traditions to the modern pressures of media scrutiny, every move is calculated, every word watched. But even in a world so tightly controlled, sometimes a spark escapes the palace gates and sets the nation ablaze. And this time, that spark came from someone few expected. A young royal, still growing into her role, yet already possessing a poise and sharpness that left even the most seasoned observers speechless. Princess Charlotte, the daughter of Prince William and Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, has just delivered a message that has shaken the royal landscape to its core. It wasn't a formal speech or a press release. It wasn't delivered from a balcony or shouted into microphones. It came during a small, closed-door family event, but the ripple effect was immediate. Those who heard it firsthand could hardly believe what they were witnessing. One insider described it as a moment of royal reckoning. Another said, "It was the first time I saw the future queen in her." What could a child of just 10 years say that would spark such reactions? And more importantly, what does this mean for Prince William, her father, and future king? It all began on a rainy afternoon at Windsor, where members of the royal family had gathered for a private family meeting. Though no official reason was given for the gathering, many believe it was intended to discuss the long-term vision of the monarchy. With King Charles adjusting to his reign and the world watching his every step, the pressure on Prince William has never been higher. As the next in line, his every decision, every nuance, is dissected not just by the press but by his own family. It was during this quiet yet deeply consequential gathering that the unexpected happened. As the room brimmed with quiet tension, Princess Charlotte, seated beside her mother, raised her voice in a calm yet commanding tone. According to those present, the entire room fell silent. She didn't stumble. She didn't hesitate. She simply spoke. "I think people need to hear Daddy, not just see him," she said. A pause followed, one of those long, thick silences that carries more weight than a roomful of speeches. "He's kind," she continued, "and strong. But sometimes people don't know that. I think it's because he hides it." The room, filled with advisors, senior royals, and members of the inner circle, froze. Prince William, visibly moved, said nothing at first. Catherine gently placed a hand on Charlotte's shoulder, both stunned and proud. But Charlotte wasn't finished. She looked around the room and added, "People love him already, but one day he'll be king. And I want them to love him for the right reasons." It was more than a child's comment. It was a reflection of something much deeper, an intuitive understanding of the emotional pulse of the public. In that moment, Charlotte didn't speak as a child or even a princess. She spoke as a voice of the future. What she delivered wasn't a message wrapped in royal protocol. It was pure, honest, and powerful. What followed this unexpected moment was a cascade of discussions within the palace. Prince William, known for his reserved demeanor, reportedly had a long, private conversation with his daughter later that evening. While no details have been officially released, insiders say the conversation was heartfelt and deeply emotional. Charlotte, it seems, had touched a nerve, one that William himself had kept buried beneath the weight of royal duty. For years, Prince William has carried the legacy of his mother, Princess Diana, and the expectations of a kingdom. He has been the steady hand, the calming presence, the diplomatic figure who avoids scandal. But in doing so, some argue he has kept too much hidden. Where his brother Harry became the outspoken rebel, William remained the guardian of the crown. Charlotte's words, however innocent, cut straight through that armor. Royal observers were quick to react. While the palace has not issued an official statement, whispers have already made their way to key royal correspondents. One longtime analyst noted, this could be a defining moment, not just for Charlotte, but for William himself. It's rare to see such insight coming from someone so young, and even rarer to see it acknowledged. Another source close to the family added, this isn't just about image. It's about legacy. And Charlotte sees her father not just as a king in waiting, but as a man who deserves to be fully understood. And so began the ripple effect. Almost immediately, William's upcoming public engagements took on new meaning. At a charity event just days later, his demeanor was noticeably different. More relaxed. More expressive. Cameras caught subtle but unmistakable moments of warmth, genuine laughter, unscripted comments, and a few emotional gestures that seemed to signal a shift. Was this the beginning of a new chapter? Was Princess Charlotte's message already making an impact? Behind the scenes, staff within Kensington Palace have reportedly begun rethinking how Prince William's public image is managed. Insiders suggest a renewed focus on authenticity, a move away from rigid appearances and towards something more heartfelt. One aide commented anonymously, "The public wants to know who he is, not just what he represents." And maybe, just maybe, Charlotte reminded us all of that. The media couldn't ignore the shift. Headlines began circulating, not of scandal or controversy, but of curiosity. A new William? Some asked. The princess with the king's voice, others proclaimed. And amidst all the attention, one photo stood out, a candid shot of William walking hand in hand with Charlotte, both smiling without a care in the world. It was a simple moment, yet it said more than any press release ever could. While royal watchers speculated endlessly, the public reaction was swift and emotional. Social media lit up with praise for Charlotte's maturity, with many users calling her the Princess Diana of her generation, for her emotional intelligence and grace. Some pointed out how fitting it was that the granddaughter of the people's princess would remind the monarchy of the importance of emotional honesty. Others found inspiration in her ability to speak truth to power, even within her own family. It wasn't just the public who felt the shift. Inside the palace, Prince William reportedly began meeting more frequently with his communications team. Not to change who he was, but to express more of it. Advisors who once focused solely on protocol began to see the benefit of a more open, connected William. And while changes would come gradually, no royal turns the ship too quickly, there was no denying the spark had been lit. Interestingly, those closest to William say he has always carried a deeply reflective side. Behind the polished speeches and formal appearances is a man who grapples with legacy, memory, and duty. A man who has never forgotten the lessons of his mother, even as he shoulders the expectations of a future king. But for years, that side of him remained largely unseen. Until his daughter, his own flesh and blood, held up a mirror and told him to stop hiding. Some royal historians have called the moment unprecedented. Not because a child spoke, but because of who listened. The royal family, known for valuing tradition above all, paused to hear a voice that wasn't scheduled, wasn't rehearsed, and wasn't from the usual ranks of advisors. It was spontaneous. It was real. And that alone made it revolutionary. Charlotte's words also hinted at a new era within the monarchy, one that blends tradition with vulnerability. The modern public doesn't merely want pageantry and formality. They want connection. They want to see their future king as human, not just a symbol. And in that single moment of clarity, Charlotte not only delivered a heartfelt plea but also offered a vision of what the monarchy could become under her father's reign. Prince William, moved by his daughter's honesty, has reportedly begun involving Charlotte more in soft public roles, not as a showpiece, but as a sign of what's coming. She represents a new breed of royal, intelligent, articulate, grounded, and emotionally attuned. Though still young, she shows an understanding of her place in the world that's beyond her years. And as she grows, it's clear she won't merely inherit a title, she's already shaping the future of the institution she belongs to. Meanwhile, Prince George, the future heir, has quietly taken notice of his sister's voice. While George is known to be more reserved, palace insiders suggest he has begun looking up to Charlotte for her courage. Their sibling bond, while typical in many ways, is beginning to reflect something deeper, an emerging partnership that could one day become the foundation of a powerful new royal generation. As for Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, sources say she was both astonished and deeply moved by Charlotte's words. One aide revealed that after the event, Catherine told her daughter, "You spoke from your heart, and that's the greatest strength you can ever have." Those who know the Duchess well say she sees much of herself in Charlotte, but also glimpses of Diana, and even Queen Elizabeth's determination in her granddaughter's quiet strength. Of course, within the monarchy, such moments are always followed by reflection. The institution knows the power of symbolism and emotion. They understand that small gestures, especially when unscripted, can shift public sentiment faster than any formal campaign. Charlotte's words weren't just a fleeting moment. They were the beginning of a narrative the palace has now embraced. Not as a strategy, but as a truth long overlooked. William, once seen as the steady bridge between two royal worlds, his father's and his brother's, may now be entering a new phase. Not a reinvention, but a revelation. A chance to show the public who he truly is beneath the crown, beneath the formality, and beneath the centuries-old weight of monarchy. All thanks to the bravery and insight of a daughter who simply wanted the world to see her father as she does. And so, the nation finds itself not shaken by scandal or controversy, but stirred by hope. A royal family often guarded behind tradition has let down its shield, if only slightly, and in doing so, revealed a glimpse of something powerful. Real emotion, genuine connection, a reminder that behind every crown is a human story. And sometimes the youngest voices are the clearest. Princess Charlotte may not wear the crown anytime soon, but she has already proven that she holds something just as powerful, the ability to change hearts. Her message about Prince William wasn't planned. It wasn't rehearsed, but it was heard. And in the halls of Buckingham Palace, where whispers often carry more weight than speeches, it has echoed far and wide. The entire country watched as a young girl reminded a future king of who he really is. And in doing so, she reminded the rest of us of why we still care about the monarchy, not because of titles or jewels, but because of the people behind them. In a world often divided, Charlotte offered unity. In a family known for silence, she offered truth. And in a moment that will be remembered for years to come, she stunned the entire nation, not with drama, but with grace. This is more than a headline. It's history in the making.